So hello everyone, welcome to episode 9 of our F1 Manager Save. Now if you didn't watch the last episode at the Spanish Grand Prix, go back and watch that because we saw Max Verstappen with a truly dominant display. We saw Carlos Sainz fighting back after an early spin, and we saw a couple of collisions as well, showcasing the new F1 Manager collision engine. Now Max Verstappen won, as we said. Checo Perez was in P2 and Charles Leclerc was in P3. What does that mean for the driver's standings? Well, it does mean that for the driver's standings, Max Verstappen is still leading by 40 odd points from Carlos Sainz. Leclerc is in P3 and Checo Perez is in P4. Leclerc and Perez on the same points, but it is a 4-horse race for the driver's standings. Meanwhile, in the constructors, Red Bull are in front by 40 odd points again. Aston Martin in P3 and Mercedes in P4. We're in P5 on 25 points. Now, just to know, on the driver's standings wise, Esteban is in front of Pierre, but on last weekend's performance, Pierre absolutely trounced him. Why am I mentioning that? Because in terms of the car parts going into this weekend, we have made a couple of adjustments. We've had the front wing come through. We've had a new front wing, which is going to improve us. That is on both cars. But in terms of the underfloor, that's where it gets very interesting because we could only build one underfloor in time for this weekend's Grand Prix, and that has gone to Pierre Gasly on the basis of last weekend's performance. This weekend, it is the Canadian Grand Prix in Montreal. 70 laps round here, and it's a decent Grand Prix this. I do like this one in real life. Attributes, acceleration and low and medium speed cornering crucial. Expect a strategy of one stop from soft or medium onto hard. Now bear in mind, remember what happened in real life. Ferrari got the strategy bang on with a safety car. There's always a chance of a safety car around here, so it promises to be a decent race weekend. So I'm going to get through practice and we'll see you in qualifying for the Canadian Grand Prix.
One has arrived here in Quebec, and we're excited to get underway. On a man-made island in the heart of Montreal is Canada's Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. This unique track circles the outline of the Ile Notre Dame, giving plenty of challenges to our drivers between the tight corners and a long final straight. With a flat-out section of over 1 kilometre in Sector 3, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve is a track that asks, who dares brake last? And that means it's tough on tyres and brake temperatures the whole way round.
Red Bull have outscored their rivals to be at the top of the constructors' table right now. But there are a lot of contenders and plenty of races still to go.
Stay with us then as the weekend gets underway.
So guys, end of the session. We've had a rainy qualifying. We've got it about right all weekend, but P9 and P10, interestingly, Esteban Ocon out qualifying Gasly, despite Gasly having the better car parts. So very interesting performance from Esteban Ocon. Carlos Sainz is on pole position, Max Verstappen in P2, Leclerc P3. Let's have a little look at the strategies because I'm hoping we've got the rain out of the way, but we'll see what we can do with the strategies. Right guys, so strategy wise, now looking at it, I've been playing around, as you can see, maybe a 2-stop with a medium involved as well, but soft to hard looks the best option, so that's what we're going to go for. Soft to hard for both guys. Just try and stick with it, and maybe a safety car will come as well. So soft to hard, P9 and 10. Let's get to 5 red lights.
70 laps of the Canadian Grand Prix await our drivers here in Montreal. You and I won't be the only ones keeping an eye on Oscar Piastri, Karun.
What can they manage from 18th? It'll be interesting to see, that's for sure.
And it'll be exciting to see just what will happen here today. This is it. We're moments away now at the Canadian Grand Prix. It's lights and away we go.
And away we go, and straight away we are telling our drivers to always attack. Once again, it's better to be aggressive on this first lap, but interesting, let's keep a little look at Carlos Sainz, who's managed to fend off Max Verstappen into turn 1. Verstappen in P2, then comes Leclerc in P3, Perez P4, Alonso P5, Russell in P6 now, managing to overtake Lance Stroll, but Stroll having none of that and gets the position back. 8 for Lewis Hamilton, 9 for Pierre Gasly, and straight away Esteban Ocon under a little bit of pressure from Kevin Magnussen, as we have been so often in this episode, and Esteban Ocon once again not performing and getting overtaken by Kevin Magnussen. Disappointing start for Esteban Ocon. We saw it live, so we're not going to watch it again, but Pierre Gasly in P9 is doing everything he possibly can, and we're going to actually tell him to try and deploy his DRS and keep in the DRS of Hamilton. We need to do that to keep in this race how we want to do it. Sorry about that. There we go. But as we come towards the end of lap 1, Max Verstappen is hot on the tail of Carlos Sainz. We're going to ride on board with Max Verstappen and Esteban Ocon. My days, as we watch them go through the chicane. Let's have a little look at what Esteban Ocon's managed to do now. He's lost a position once again to Lando Norris. He's lost 2 positions on this first lap. Disappointing from Esteban Ocon. I don't really know what to do with Esteban at the moment. He's not performing to the level that Pierre Gasly is doing, and we know Pierre Gasly has got this in the locker, as we know from our Aston Martins. So Pierre Gasly doing very well at the moment. Same can't be said for Esteban Ocon, who's going to have to be told to deploy ERS, and he's actually losing a position now to Logan Sargent in the Williams. What on earth is happening to Esteban Ocon? He's got the qualifying pace, but he hasn't got the pace in the race for some reason. Lap 2, Ocon has lost 4 positions off the start. Esteban Ocon starting to make amends for some of this early disappointment, managing to get past Logan Sargent in the Williams, shoves him off the track a little bit, to be fair, and he's got DRS to latch onto the back of Lando Norris in that McLaren. Meanwhile, Pierre Gasly playing an absolute blinder here, keeping pace with Lewis Hamilton. So we're going to ride on board with Pierre Gasly, because Pierre Gasly may have the chance to overtake Lewis Hamilton down this DRS straight. He's going to get DRS and the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton isn't. Let's have a look at us gaining down this long straight. By the time we get to the final chicane on the Wall of Champions, we are on the back of Lewis Hamilton. So it's great work from Pierre Gasly. We're going to actually tell him not to be so aggressive on the overtake. Sticking with Lewis Hamilton would work an absolute treat for us. Esteban Ocon now well in the DRS of Lando Norris as well. So after a difficult start, we've also got a new leader, and that leader is Max Verstappen. He's now in P1, Sainz in P2, Perez a second back in P3, then comes Leclerc, Alonso, Stroll, Russell, Hamilton, Gasly in P9, and then Magnussen in P10. But Ocon's on the back of this train and he's dropped Logan Sargent. And on lap 5, Esteban Ocon has cooked his battery, and Lando Norris goes to the right, then goes to the left, and Lando Norris is back past Esteban Ocon. Disappointment once again for Esteban, and he loses a lot of time through that corner. Lap 5. As we come on to lap 10, Pierre Gasly has lost sight of the Mercedes, and now he's got Kevin Magnussen battling away with him. It's not ideal at all for Pierre Gasly. We're in P9 again. We just cannot seem to get out of this little rut. We can't seem to catch these front-running cars at this moment in time. We're going to have a look at what strategy may play in this, but it's been a very disappointing Grand Prix so far. But Pierre fighting for P9 with the Haas of Magnussen. Ocon in P11 can't quite get back in the DRS of the top 10. We may switch Ocon to a 2-stop. Lap 10. Lap 19, and we're back. Lando Norris and Esteban Ocon just can't be separated at this moment in time. And Lando Norris getting it done into that long right hairpin there. So it's a little bit disappointing at the moment. Lap 25, you join us back. Our pit window is opening, but Carlos Sainz is leading the race. He's got the fastest lap of the Grand Prix on lap 25, leading the way from Verstappen. Then comes Perez, Leclerc, Stroll, Alonso in P6, Russell P7, Hamilton P8. Gasly still running nicely in 9th. Can't seem to shake off Kevin Magnussen, who just seems to have the edge over us at the moment in this Haas, but we are holding him off quite well. One thing that is noticeable once again, our tyre wear, especially with Pierre Gasly, looking very, very promising indeed. Magnussen in P10, Ocon in P11. There's a decent chance that when we go onto the hards, as we see Magnussen overtake, that's not the worst thing in the world for us now, as we'll just latch on and get this DRS. Ocon losing the position again to Lando Norris, similar to what he did before. But I reckon our tyre wear may help us out here. Do we stay out a little bit longer on the softs? A lot to consider here in this race on lap 26, but we just cannot seem to break this gap between ourselves in sort of P9, P10, and the gap to the 4th place car is ridiculous. Lap 26. Lap 28, Esteban Ocon is into the pit lane. Kevin Magnussen just got past Pierre Gasly and has pulled out a second gap on him. He's onto the hard compound tyres, Esteban Ocon. It's a decent stop, 2.6 seconds, but Pierre Gasly will be massively disappointed with this because he's managed to somehow lose the DRS of Kevin Magnussen. It's really, really poor from Pierre Gasly, and Kevin Magnussen running away with it now. We will be pitting Gasly at this lap, lap 28. And Pierre Gasly is into the pit lane for his stop. 2.6 seconds, as was Kevin Magnussen. Now let's have a little look here. Who comes out where? Kevin Magnussen, is he in front of Pierre Gasly? He is, but Pierre Gasly is now right back with him. ERS disabled. Esteban Ocon has used all his might on this exit lap to try and gain up some positions. We can see Magnussen coming out as well, but Esteban Ocon is out into P18. Pierre Gasly in P15 now, and he has managed to has he managed to overtake Kevin Magnussen? He hasn't. He's actually lost a couple of positions to K-Mag in traffic. Not ideal at all. Charles Leclerc is the net leader, but is yet to pit. Lap 32, we've got a few cars in front of us. Everybody now has made the pit stop apart from Leclerc and Alonso. Leclerc just dropping down a little bit as we see him exiting the pit lane, but Pierre Gasly, 1.5 seconds now is the gap to Kevin Magnussen. We're going to try and deploy and push on the fuel to catch up with K-Mag. Meanwhile, Esteban Ocon up into P13. He's got Hülkenberg and Tsunoda yet to pit in front of him, so he will be net P11 once these two guys pit. I'm expecting them to pit, to be fair, towards the end of this lap. Let's ride on board with Esteban Ocon, who's been pushing on the fuel. We'll have to watch that a little bit, but as he's using his DRS down this straight, let's have a little look what's happened here. Is he going to make the move on Tsunoda? Will these guys both go into the pit lane? Neither of these guys go into the pit lane. He does manage to get Tsunoda, which is great for him. Pierre Gasly's burned all his battery, but managed to get back in the DRS of Kevin Magnussen, so that's worked an absolute treat. But Esteban Ocon up into P12, and his next stop is Nico Hülkenberg. So both cars, he's going to be P10 and 11 again, maybe P9 if Pierre can keep up with Kevin Magnussen. But on lap 33, it's looking very difficult for us again to break this top 8. And on lap 34, as predicted, Esteban Ocon did manage to get past Nico Hülkenberg. These two cars, Tsunoda and Hülkenberg, going exceptionally long on this soft compounded tyre. I'll be interested to see what happens to them towards the end of this Grand Prix, but not too bad at all. Fastest lap of the Grand Prix goes to Charles Leclerc. Perez now is leading from Verstappen. Carlos Sainz in P3, Leclerc in P4. So it's the two Red Bulls once again fighting between themselves, but will a safety car change things? Lap 35. Lap 53, Max Verstappen and Perez are the two that's fighting for the lead, but it must be said that the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc has joined the party, and it's now a three-way fight for the win here in Canada. Carlos Sainz in P4, 6.4 seconds back. Then comes Alonso, Stroll, Hamilton, Russell, and Gasly. There's not too much to tell you about at this moment in time. Gasly and Magnussen are just swapping places at will. Ocon is in sort of a bit of a world of his own at the moment, a race of his own. He's just driving around in P11. He's going to be very disappointed with his performance today. But Pierre Gasly is getting away from Kevin Magnussen at times, but not doing enough to break DRS. But our tyre wear is better than the Haas's. So it's not all lost at this moment in time, but Pierre Gasly looks like he's going to score points again. Esteban will be disappointed. A little bit further back in the standings, the two Williams are running in P14 and P15. Tsunoda P18, then comes Piastri and Zhou Guanyu on lap 54. So here we are then, ladies and gentlemen, last lap of the Grand Prix, and to be fair, there's not been too much to tell you about. Leclerc is well in front. His tyres have lasted, and that Ferrari has looked incredibly quick all afternoon. He's going to overtake Checo Perez, and he's going to win the Canadian Grand Prix. Great work from Charles Leclerc. Fantastic work for him. What must be said again is Pierre Gasly is a lap down on the top 8. We have got some serious work to do in terms of improving this car. Perez and Verstappen still going at it, but Pierre Gasly is going to finish P9, Ocon in P11, and unfortunately, ladies and gents, it's the same again. We score minimal points and we just keep securing P5, but there is a long way to go. Let's get to the podium scene.
And now with the race done, we can see Logan Sargent there. And the Monegasque driver certainly proved his worth with a terrific drive today.
What an excellent way to take a second win of the season with a composed performance today.
Plenty of smiles for the cameras as the drivers can let off some steam here in Montreal.
So there we have it then. Charles Leclerc winning from Max Verstappen. Great work from him. The Ferrari guys really enjoying that. And again, in the Alpine garage, it's just a very standard, moderate weekend for us. And it's getting a little bit waning. We need a little bit more than this. So Charles Leclerc wins, obviously, from Verstappen and Perez in P3. We finished P9 and P11. Disappointing again for Ocon. The upgrades maybe made a difference, to Pierre Gasly. Carlos Sainz down in P4. The Aston Martins, another strong showing from them, beating both Mercedes. Driver standings wise, Max Verstappen 195 points now. He is 39 points clear of Charles Leclerc, who's now in P2. Checo Perez P3, Carlos Sainz in P4 after a difficult couple of races. Pierre Gasly becomes the lead driver at Alpine, and to be fair, it's looking like that anyway, away from the standings. Constructor standings wise, Red Bull do lose their lead a little bit. It's now just 40 points to Ferrari, Aston Martin in P3, Mercedes P4 and Alpine in P5. We gain another couple of points. We're keeping that gap to Williams, but by God, is there a long way between us and these top 4 teams. I hope you've enjoyed that. I understand it's a bit frustrating at times, P9, P10s, and we're not really challenging. We haven't had any safety cars or opportunities to improve on that. We are doing his best to improve, and we hopefully will do that next week. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you later. Ta-ra.